2, 1.
Let's go.
Three, two, one.
Let's go.
Three, two, one.
Let's go.
3, 2, 1.
Let's go.
All right, everybody, welcome to episode 2 of Kentucky Fried Coin Ops. I am LRock617, happy to bring you some more arcade goodness. First thing I'm going to do is give y'all a chance to hear that beautiful music one more time. That was the soundtrack to R-Type Leo, which is a IREM shmup, keeping in theme with the games we're playing today. They're also both IREM games. Go ahead and make this over here. There we go.
3, 2, 1.
Let's go.
Let's go a little bit lower. Okay, so today I have decided to feature 2 games as part of a series. Primary reason being that both these games are really short, so I figured featuring a 2-hour plus show on like a game that can be finished in under 10 minutes. Not the best use of time, because, you know, don't see any reason to spend too much time just jamming on the buttons on one game when I could be playing 2 games that are the same length and shorter than most games combined. That said, we're today going to be looking at the arcade releases for the Spartan X series. First release being Kung Fu Masters, we see here, 1984 title. As you can see the big title there in the center in all orange. This is the front of the manual. Have my cursor over that. We'll have a look at that here in a moment. Let's talk about some things regarding Kung Fu Master. Released as Spartan X in Japan, which is also known as to some retro communities here. It's not only a side-scrolling beat-em-up developed by IREM, it is also considered by many to be the first beat-em-up ever released for arcades. Highly influential because of that. Originally released back in 1984. Even though it was released and developed by IREM in Japan and Europe, it was distributed by Data East in North America. Designed by Takashi Nishiyama. Game was primarily based on Hong Kong martial arts films, also a loose adaptation of the film Meals on Wheels, starring Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, and Yuen Biao. Hope I pronounced that last one correctly. Similarly, the protagonist, Thomas, is named after Jackie Chan's character in the film. It's also heavily inspired by the Bruce Lee film Game of Death, which was the basis for the game's concept. The developer, who previously designed the side-scrolling shooter Moon Patrol, another classic, combined fighting elements with a shmup gameplay rhythm, which probably explains why I had so much trouble once seeing it. See, it only took me like 2 days of practice and 1 day of streaming to finally get the clear on this, but now that I know what the developers and designers are going for, I can understand why it actually has that that shmup feel to it, because the angles at which enemies can approach you feels really, I guess, incongruent at times and not at all consistent. There's a lot of RNG to this game. So, that said, as mentioned, the player controls Thomas, as you can see there in his white gi. He's a kung fu master who fights his way through the 5 levels of what's called the Devil's Temple to rescue his girlfriend Sylvia from the crime boss Mr. X. Person in the tower, you have to fight many enemies along the way and 5 boss battles. A lot of the enemies you fight throughout stages are redundant. Once you reach a boss, it actually becomes more like takes on like a fighting game type feel, because the boss actually has a health meter. Having topped Japanese arcade charts and becoming the second highest grossing arcade game in 1985 in the United States, while also receiving critical acclaim for its fast-paced side-scrolling gameplay and detailed, colorful graphics. A port was later released for the NES, which was actually developed by Nintendo, which I actually did not know. That also explains why it's a black box game. Shigeru Miyamoto, of much Nintendo fame, was the director. Only released under the name Kung Fu in the West, while still being released as Spartan X in Japan. Also had a Commodore 64 port, which was one of the 5 best-selling games for that console. Didn't grow up with a C64 myself. I had IBM, but I was always jealous of those that did, because the game selection for that platform was quite strong. As mentioned before, it was also a very highly influential game. By many, it's regarded as the first beat-em-up, even though it wasn't the first belt-scrolling beat-em-up. I want to say that was Neketsu Kunio-kun, aka Renegade, but I may be missing out on one or two. That's for another day. It was also an early example of a side-scrolling character action game, and became popular big time during the mid to late 80s. In fact, Miyamoto's work on the NES port is what inspired the development of Super Mario Bros., so there's a nice bit of influence there. I actually wasn't aware of that. And Nishiyama, the original developer, was then later hired by Capcom, where he used the game's boss battles as the basis for the very first Street Fighter. That's Street Fighter from 1987, not the much more famous and much more groundbreaking Street Fighter 2, but still. Having played both, I can actually see where a lot of that influence comes from. He then went on to work for SNK on fighting games such as Fatal Fury and The King of Fighters. It's also been influenced in other media, such as the Red Ribbon Army saga of the manga and anime series Dragon Ball, and the French film Kung Fu Master. Talk a little bit more about the dev. As mentioned, lots of influence. Wheels on Meals, Enter the Dragon. Composition was composed by Masato Ishizaki. Nishiyama initially believed the game did not need any music as it was a martial arts game. He thought it would sound much more impressive just had the sound effects. I personally disagree, but there's also some degree of bias because even though this game technically only has one song, really, it kind of has two because it has like the end of stage jingle. It only has one actual stage song, but that song is incredibly addictive, and it actually makes me want to play the game more. It's pretty great. But hey, good taste won out, good sense, huh? While Ishizaki did have a melody in mind for the game, led him to suggest 2 versions be made, with and without music, and actually would have sounded better. After hearing both versions, Nishiyama went back on his original thought and said the music version sounded much better, so thankfully for that. Ishizaki also later went on to compose the music and sound for the original R-Type, released in 1987, same year as Street Fighter. As mentioned before, lots of ports of this game. I mentioned both the NES and the Commodore 64 ports. You've also got the Amstrad CPC, the Apple II, Atari 2600, MSX, ZX Spectrum, the Atari 7800, and also a Game Boy port. This game was everywhere, and it's pretty easy to see why. It has extremely simple gameplay, really strong storytelling, and a lot of the visuals and sound of what you see can just be easily implemented elsewhere. Of course, received very high praise at the time, and is still very much a cult favorite to this day. More cult in that newer players probably aren't going to know about it, though anyone who grew up with an NES is probably at least passively familiar with it. Number of sequels released, one of which we'll be looking at a little bit later today. Sorry, the soundtrack loop ended. Let's go ahead and start it back over. We talk a little bit more. I was not aware until today that there are actually a couple of sequels that were proposed that never got released. And some that did. For the NES, for example, there was Spartan X2, which is a very good video game, but it was only released outside of the United States. So if you get access to a flash card, definitely worth checking out. Great game, really good speedrun too. That said, let's go ahead and have a look at the manual. For the manual in general, we really only have installation instructions to look at, but it's still pretty cool to see this type of stuff. This is why internet preservation is like one of the best. Well, one of the best reasons to have the internet. I actually didn't know this. This here actually indicates certain tips for gameplay. For For example, for number 7, it states at the end of the 4th floor, may wizards, I'm sure that meant to say many, will appear. You must guess which one is the real wizard and defeat him. Depending on how you're willing to orchestrate and attempt to script the fight, you can actually make it to only where one appears, but the fight can be easier or harder in that variant, depending on how you play it. Got everything here listing the defaults. Got both easy and difficult. I actually forget which one is default. I don't think I've ever checked that before. So you can actually the dip switches. So easy is the default. It's still a fairly tough game. Got all our pin converters here, diagnostic modes. Curious what this might have been like if it had been a 2-player game. You obviously couldn't do co-op, but I think in Vigilante they actually had it set up to where you could have 2 players, but just swap the current actual player back and forth. Similar to how they did with like Mario titles on the NES later. Just food for thought. In the character test, you can actually show off some of just the character models. I had to comment on this. I love Japan's forward thinking from early arcade days. Their hardware is so easy to implement when you have the proper tools. Compared to like compared to certain American arcade devs, and it's like night and day. We'll look at the hardware. Ditto for the ceramic capacitor. I just love this kind of stuff. Just having a peek at the hardware. Go a little bit fast because, you know, no reason to just break down that much code. This is actually a pretty extensive manual. Like, we're about 22 pages down and still only about 2/3 of the way. Another thing I was able to find on the website Arcade Club, which does some really cool stuff in regards to arcade. Get some really cool screenshots here. And this I love in particular. There was what appears to be a fake poster. I'll do my best to enlarge this. That utilizes, as you can see, Jackie Chan's face in place of the main character. So to correlate with the movie that was inspired from it, they just have Jackie Chan as Thomas here in this little pictographs. I saw this today and I just thought it was hysterical. So especially like they use the same face on the chibi model on the bottom. Let me see if I can enlarge that. Ta-da! Much better. Yeah, this kind of stuff just tickles me. I think it's funny. I do wonder if this was like an official release, because I suppose if any nation could have gotten away with it, it would have been Japan. Also, I do not believe there's a fencer in this game. There are enemies with knives. We've seen plenty of that. But I definitely don't recall a guy who was fencing. That must have been movie specific. Anyway, move back over here. Cool little tidbits. For those who don't know, this game is an up to jump game. Your only 2 buttons are punch and kick. And up to jump is, in a lot of ways, to the player's detriment. Not specifically in jumping straight up. Neutral jumps are pretty consistent and aren't hard to pull off. Diagonal jumps, on the other hand, oh boy. Most of the issues I've had in learning this game have to do with, or stem from learning how to control your jumps. Doing a jump up forward, specifically, you can't just do it by tapping an 8-way direction, like a diagonal direction. I've tried many times, it doesn't work. The best way to do it is to hold the direction in which you're looking to jump, either left or right, and then you can't see my joystick inputs at this time. You essentially feign just slightly up in the direction while you're running. If you go too hard on it, you'll get a neutral jump and you'll lose the momentum on it. And that's actually really crucial in certain areas. You're probably going to see that mistake happen a lot. Also, did I know that punches awarded more points than kicks and did more damage, but of course kicks went out sometimes because the range is shorter. So for those of you looking to do score attacks, make sure you get your punch ranges down. Couple of spots for availability. Yeah, good stuff. I just can't stop gooning at this. This is just so funny to me. He's got a New Balance tee on. Oh, man, I love it. All right. Anyway, that's a little bit about Kung Fu Master. I'm going to take a quick look down the installation menu, see if we missed anything else. FBI warning, a couple orange backgrounds. Let's see if we can move over to our gameplay. Put the R-Type music on hold. I couldn't remember if this game had demo noise or not. I'm pretty sure it doesn't, but I wanted to turn the volume down just in case. When this game wants to be loud, it goes pretty hard. Now, a couple notes about this game in regards to yours truly. I only properly learned the 1cc for this game within the last 2 weeks since episode 1. I kind of wanted to have it in the back pocket, but as it turns out, this game was very difficult for me to be able to play through and get through consistently. It's sort of due to a number of factors. A lot of it is the execution. As mentioned before, forward jumps are part of it. It's also not ideal to play on an emulator because of input lag. When you need a kick or a punch at a certain time, like you really, really need it. Like, how do I explain this? So as you can see, a lot of enemies are running up to hug you to do damage, and when they grab you, it does do consistent damage past the initial grab. Not fun, but it happens, unfortunately. Reason I mention that is because when human enemies get in certain range of you, if you try to throw out an attack, it almost turns into a dead button. Like, it just doesn't actually connect, which feels like the weirdest thing ever. And it's like, why did that not come out? But, I mean, it's almost like the game just claims it so. So, timing is extra strict. That said, if you get good enough at this game, you can complete it pretty quickly. I believe all of the top times for the speedrun are like sub 420, which, you know, nice. In fact, I think they're like 414, 416, 418 in that order. Like, there's a pretty good amount of optimization and not much around that. But I think to get an actual great run, you do need good RNG. Stage 5 in particular has lots of enemies that, how do I put this? It seems like the enemy count overall doesn't always prove to be as large as it can be. So like 7 out of every 10 runs, you'll just get an obnoxious amount of enemies, and then you'll run it again the 8th time, and suddenly it's like a fair amount. You have the same amount of knife guys, but hugging enemies, not so much. It's like whoever showed up to work that day, you know? Anyway, we'll go ahead and give it a spin. I'll put in attempts for roughly about an hour before we move on to our next game. Hopefully we'll get it, maybe we won't. That bass, though. You see, kicks are quite good. Very good range. You can also crouch cancel standing attacks. By that I mean, if you throw a punch or a kick, that was unfortunate. If you throw a punch or a kick, yeah, they're really playing for keeps now. I gotta wait. And that's the kind of stuff that can happen, unfortunately. So if you throw a punch or a kick while in a standing position, if you press down after the animation's initiated, it cancels the move and it returns you back to a neutral state. You will go into crouch, but you can come right out of it. Okay, so for this guy, if I take a death in stage 1, I'm just gonna do it as a free reset. Past that, we'll just keep going. Stage 1, boss down. What I generally tend to do for him, as you see, is just crouch low and kick him as much as I can to push him away. Back up, go back in. Try to go for the same. Sometimes his speed beats you out. Walk past that. So these pots contain snakes that are very dangerous to deal with. There's a good forward jump. Snakes, once they're spawned, are invincible. Like, you can't actually interact with them at all. You can break the pot that they're contained in, but once they're live, you can only jump over them. These little enemies can do stuff. They can not only grab you, they can also jump on your head to do damage. There's a boomerang guy. Didn't want to take that hit, but that's okay. Crouch. Up we go. Hope everything looks okay. I'm getting some not amazing news in OBS. Hope everything looks good. We'll push through for this attempt, at least. Also, this game does loop indefinitely. But clearing just one loop, which is 5 stages, does count as a 1 credit clear. So that's our goal. I think I've only reached stage 2 in the second loop. Stage 1 in both loops is pretty close to the same. Stage 2, not so much. There's a lot more stuff you have to learn. Well, since the security here... Alright, so here we have Shaq. Unfortunate. Okay, cool. So for Shaq, the ultra combo you want is to be able to land that jump kick. You get a lot of damage out of it because it's damage on every frame. Then you just crouch punch him to death. Thank you. Okay, Deathless to stage 4. This is one of the real gates. Stage 4 is incredibly dangerous. Punch a moth. Didn't punch that one, that's unfortunate. Punch another moth. Jump. Don't like that. Not much I can do about it, though. So as you can see, the moths are a real problem. The other problem in stage 4 is the boss. There's 2 really good strats that can be used against him, but they don't always work. Yeah, I don't love that. I gotta wait this out. Okay. Walk up, do this. Crouch. He went low. Yeah, that's the 50-50 of it. Ideally, you just want to take as little damage as possible going up to it, but that doesn't always happen. That was lucky. I don't like this at all. Especially when this guy's gonna mix me up. He flew off the screen. Neat. That doesn't happen often. Oh my gosh, how did that not hit? Alright. Hold steady. Alright, here's our guy. Him backing up immediately after Fireball is definitely not ideal. That can be dealt with. Yeah. A lot of times you're just fighting his timing. There is a strat where you can back up and... essentially what you're trying to do is cause him to clone himself, and then he leaves himself a lot more open. But unfortunately, that's also not consistent. I've practiced both. That's the one I've had the best luck with. That's the one I always go for. And this is really bad. Yeah, as you can see, that kind of stuff happens in this stage. Okay. We did get an extend extra life for those that never heard the term before, 50,000 points, but we're already on our last life, because this stage is really mean sometimes. Oof, when they come out aggressive like that, too, it's also not good. Alright, this is the most health we've had coming out of the moth segment. Let's see where we're at. Don't love seeing a knife guy here. Okay. Gotta play by his rules for a bit. Yeah, that was unfortunate. Yeah. Sometimes I just know exactly what to do. Unfortunately, if I recall, you can't credit feed this game. Like, yeah, if you play, no matter how far you play, if you take a game over, you have to start back from the beginning. It has a great visual aesthetic, for sure. It looks so good. I love the NES version, too, but something about this one just pops so much more. So weird to think that in my only 1cc of this game, my only death prior to second loop was in stage 3, because I messed up the boss fight. Stage 4 and 5 actually cooperated. Yeah, 50-50 myself there. That's not good. Having 2 knife guys on screen is never okay. The boss can still do things I don't like, but I'm just gonna hope for the best and take him head on. I don't want to mess with that right now. Yeah, get it out of your system. I believe he can only swing a max of 3 times. I've never seen him go more than that. Okay. So we had enough to tank a hit. Up we go. Never seen a score run of this. I wonder what that would look like. However many loops you're able to go. Oh my god, why did I not miss that? Yeah, this is going to be some patterns I've never seen before. Just go for it. Oh my god, why did I jump? No, I thought it was the wrong thing. Forgot where I was. As long as you kick the first pot, you can just walk right past that dragon. He won't bother you at all. In fact, that's actually the speed strat. That's not great. Yeah, had to skip one to get hit by the other. That happens sometimes. If the hazards that began this stage didn't do so much damage, it wouldn't be so bad, but they all do half health. Which is pretty rude. Okay. Thankfully, as long as you reach the boss, you're usually good to go. He's not that difficult. He 50-50s you at the start, and even if he hits you, if you're not, like, within sudden death range, you're probably fine. I love that laugh, too. Iconic. Little dudes are so annoying. You can't hit them except with a crouch. I mentioned before they can jump on you. You can actually anti-air the jump. That's the worst. Yeah, this is sometimes when the game just decides to be an a-hole and there's really no recourse. So anyway, if they jump at you and you just dodge it, then they just miss you completely. If they vault over you, it's even better, because then they can't, they don't have retaliation grab on you. So we're at our boss, which is good. That's not good. Whew. Good old ultra combo. We take those. Take those, too. Alright, on to the problem. Good dodge. Take one swing. Hope for the best. Tried to duck in time. Turn ducking in this game is really hard. You also can't turn out of crouch unless you're attacking. So if, like, I'm doing, like, low kicks, then if I just turn the kicks around, then I can do it. That was rude. One more hit, see if we can get it. Okay, if he went low there, then I was dead. Sometimes you gotta 50-50 yourself. Hello, Rotor Storm. Alright, last floor with 3 lives. Mr. X is a challenging boss, but the real challenge is getting to him. This game can decide to throw 90% enemies at me in this stage. It can throw 50% at me. It's not up to me. I just have to keep moving. The thing that's really tricky is you can't really stay in one place too long to kill enemies. If you stay still, the game will throw more enemies at you. Okay, so for knife guys, I will pause. There we go. We're gonna see like 4 or 5 of them here. There's the jump attack I was talking about. Ooh, barely got underneath that. Here's Mr. X. Big defense fight. Just gotta avoid that low kick. That low kick's a problem. Yeah, that happens sometimes too. Whew, there we go. Hi, Sylvia. How are you? We did it. That's a clear. Pretty sweet. Second attempt, too. He recovering health? Yes. Bosses recover health during durations of when you hit them. That's just a Spartan X thing. So that's pretty great. Clear within the first half hour. We'll try a second loop, because why the heck not? That stage was pretty cooperative with enemies. Another strat I've seen work on Mr. X is that you can do a jump kick at them, similar to stage 3 boss, to try to get a bunch of damage at once. But I found that strat to be a little bit too risky. Because for one thing, jump kicks just don't always happen in this game, as I mentioned before with, like, you know, how forward jump movement works. And if he blocks it, it felt like he was getting faster retaliations, which is also not good. Hoo-hoo, this guy is playing for keeps. Jumping over low knives is tough. There's just so many frames in the jump squat in this game. Bunch of autograph hounds. He was faster. Hey, thanks for the 94 bits in the GG, conductor. Thank you. And thank you for the rest of you for the GGs. No. If I'm close enough, I'll always prioritize the knife guy, just get him off the screen. That's unfortunate. When your kick's off by a few pixels, life can be really problematic. Yeah, I'm just gonna let him do what he wants to do there. So yeah, for stage 2 of the second loop, this is more than likely where the run's gonna end, because this loop has a lot of patterns from this stage that I'm just not used to and never practiced, and it's really hard to adapt to them. If I ever decide to try to go for 2 loops one day, then I may become a bit more adept, but right now I'm pretty happy with where I ended up with it. Let's just see what we can get, huh? Can't believe that worked out the way it did. Did not want to jump forward there. Sometimes you get a forward jump and you don't want one either, and that also sucks. Went well until it didn't. Crouch. Okay. I disagree that I was close enough there, but whatever. I'm trying to just ignore that. Okay, yeah, I was far enough away. Not bad. Get off me. Yeah, I did not know about a knife guy here. Cool. Alright, so we're a slave to the 50-50 here. Didn't even know about that knife guy. Cool. Yeah, stage 2 and loop 2 is tough. You got a lot to learn. Oof, should have entered my initials there. I was too eager to play again. Anyway. Let's play again for fun, shall we? See if we can see some more stuff. From here on, I don't really have to care what happens, because I already cleared it, and that's awesome. So just be the quest for more of loop 2. I disagree. I kicked in the left direction the second time. Thankfully that damage isn't too detrimental, but I can't take too many more hits. I think for the rest of it's just huggers. Gross. He made me guess there for a little bit, but that said before, anytime I take a death in loop 1 stage 1, I'm just going to reset it. It's a free reset. Whereas you always get to at least attempt the stage again if you take a death on a later stage. I had never kept the run going out on a stage 2 death before, though, but hey, today it happened and I cleared it, so that's cool. The timing on that is so gross. I love the music in this game. It's exactly one song, but it's a damn good one. It's just so incentivizing and motivating. Full health, didn't take a single hit. You do not get health ups in this game, by the way. You refill health at the end of a stage, but nothing past that. Fucking laugh. It's so good. Ooh, can't believe that worked out as well. I did not want to stand up there. That's bad. Curse knife, guys. There's our extend. Guess from here the quest could also be like a no miss in loop 1. That could be something to go for. Ooh, close. Where you at, Shaq? There he is. Don't love that. I do enjoy how consistent that is. Ultra combos on bosses are quite nice. Just drain their health off a single launcher. To the traps. Unfortunate. Should have done a low kick, but keep going. That first moth out of that bottom hole is one of my least favorite in the stage. Oh, that was supposed to kill him. No. That's the worst. All right. That's low, all right. Stay in crouch. Yeah, that happens. Thankfully, we had the lives to cushion that. Probably could have punched that, but I'm okay with this. So the moths can't go past this red pillar, so once you're there, you're home free. Aside from the enemies and the boss, but the real problem's right out of the way. No knife guy, please. Thank you. Unfortunate. I got a key backdashed here. Yeah, sometimes if you're able to get him all the way to the corner and he only teleports in place, you can just hit him when he comes out of teleport and it kills him. Unless his clone is there, he'll always teleport with like the 5% sliver of health left just to give you one last coin flip. But if you're close enough after that, then you don't have to flip the coin, just kill him. The alternate strat utilizes that to better effect. It's just a lot harder to set up. Nope. I'll take that hit. Interesting how if you don't come out of crouch, it just keeps going with low hits. I'll let you get close. You want him chasing you too far. If he's there with other enemies, and God forbid another knife guy, like, life sucks. You don't want that. Just want another knife guy to show up, but here we are. Hey there, Mr. Brown Ground, what you got for me? Unfortunate. Sweet. There's this weird collision detection where sometimes if you just are able to walk into him and chest bump him, he takes damage. I do not know how the physics of that work. I don't know from a technical standpoint how that's supposed to work, but it happens sometimes. It's great when it does, because that's pure upside for you, but it's not something I go for. It's just like, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, then we just try to hit him anyway. Their happy days will not last long, oh no. Back to loop 2. No! One knife hit, not the end of the world. Yep, you had the spacing. Proud of you. Oh my goodness, I pushed him out of the way. Don't love that. Not the first time that's happened, probably won't be the last. And one of the reasons you gotta be really careful with knife guy fights. That was gonna be bad no matter what. When the knife guy drags you all the way back like that just to make sure more enemies spawn, it's just the most toxic thing this game has to offer, I think. But that's just how the game operates and behaves. I have very little say in the matter. Yeah, that was garbage. Thank you for the GL team kills. That was rude. You can definitely do standing kicks to take out those knife guys, and I have done that before, but I think crouching is just the safer method, because if he decides to go high, you can at least low profile that. Whereas standing gets hit by both high and low knife toss. Okay. One life to loop 2. Or sorry, stage 2. We're already in loop 2. How we looking? Duck. That was clutch. Okay. First time I've ever had full health in 2-2. Yep, that's the thing that happened, alright. Oh my god. Just to get hit by another one. This is toxic. There was just so little I could do about that. Oh man. I think it would take actual arcade hardware to have beaten that. With the situation I put myself in, I feel like the game throws you those kind of situations to test whether or not you're willing to get into something like that in the first place. If there's a way around it, I just don't know what it is. I just go as hard as I can. We'll keep attempts going until about 3 before we switch to our second game. The boots. Still gonna chase that no miss. I've not had one in this game yet. I've gotten close a few times. 2 of those times today. The closest I ever felt I got was I had a deathless run up until stage 5 once, but then I lost every life there. To say stage 5 didn't cooperate at all is an understatement. It just threw everything at me. No, you don't. That time he did. I didn't duck fast enough. That's a free reset. I blame that death on that knife guy squeeze that happened earlier in the stage. Boss just did what he always does. I just didn't have the life to tank it. Good enough. Drag this to the boss as far as I can before I turn around. Very good. Rude. Yeah, I'd stay there too long. That's on me. Okay. Kanji. There's no reason to jump there, but it ended up with the same result. Ooh, the timing. We take those. When an enemy runs away, that means you're in the boss territory, so another reason I try to drag it out to the boss. They don't all run away, which is strange. You figure it'd be all or nothing, but sometimes like 1 or 2 enemies will just head to Splitsville. Laugh. Good beats. In a lot of ways, 3 just feels like an upgrade to 1 to me. You have little enemies to deal with and a different boss, and that's about it. Whew. Very fortunate there. So many autograph hounds, go away. I love the little guy's red vest for some reason. It's an interesting look. Back up. Sometimes you miss the jump kick and you get to crouch punch him to death. Always fun. Just give him the Jeet Kune Do, the... Nope, not today. Ooh, that one's coming in hot. Let's see if I can outrun him. Nope. We tried. Good moths all the same. Alright, boss is coming in. Yeah, that happens sometimes too. Not a big deal. That's gross. Oh, the worst. Low fireballs can sometimes spawn traps, dragons, snakes. Just things you gotta deal with. Okay, he stopped. That's pretty lucky. You I'm not gonna be able to contend with. That still hit me. It always is some little one, isn't it? Hopefully no more knife guys, that's all I care about. Alright, cool. Yay! Still crouching. Right, I'm gonna have to walk up to him again. If he threw a low fireball there, I was done for. Thankfully we live to fight another day. Never unpredictable to take a death in stage 4, so we can't get a no miss, but we'll try to clear it all the same. That's what we do. There's a lot of dudes in such a short amount of time. Yeah, that happened. What the? That didn't hit? Big disagreement. I figured we were pretty close to there, yeah. Oh god, why? Ooh, close. Nope, no room for you. I guess he likes to watch, though. I don't even recall if I've ever seen an enemy pop in after the boss is defeated. That's wild. In other stages, sure, but not in the last stage. You can just be like, alright, so you beat him. We're gonna leave you alone, but like, no. They're not having it. Push for Loop 2, Stage 3, shall we? Of note, I've not had a death in Stage 5 today, which feels pretty good. Guess I've gotten better. The worst. Yeah, that sucks. Can't afford to get too tilted, though. Yeah, that's a hug. Oh, something I was just reminded of that I forgot to mention. For those that want to put some time to this game, if you're in crouch, you can't break a grab. So if an enemy grabs you while you're crouching, you have to stand up to be able to break it. As you saw I had to do there. Like, I had to get up off the ground to be able to break that. Like, you have to mash buttons to break out, as most people know, but if you're just kneeling on the ground, no matter how hard you mash, you're not getting out. You have to stand. I don't know if that's consistent with ports of this game, but in the arcade version, that's definitely the case. No knife guy, please. Wow, that hit him low? I did not know standing kick would hit him if he was in crouch. That's wild. Yeah, Loop 2 treats us. That was unfortunate. Whew, I can't believe that worked out the way it did. Yeah, I was not supposed to jump there. So much I could do there. That was definitely my fault. I was supposed to jump. I was more paying attention to what was happening on the left. Let's get in one more attempt for a no miss, shall we? 5 Sons of the Devil will entertain you. Yeah, that's gross. Don't love it. He's backdashing. Cool. I like a zoner to backdash. Gross. I should not have been standing there. He hit me 3 times and I still survived the whole ordeal. Wild. Would not have guessed. And kick, and walk, and kick, and jump, and duck, and jump. Better timing, I got a jump kick there. Yeah. Didn't crouch there, that's my bad. I wasn't sure I was going to have the time to jump that, jeez. I mean, that's definitely a strat. There's a number of different things you can do with this game. Punches are very good. They're certainly better for score and damage, but I use them almost exclusively on the moths in Stage 4 and bosses. And not even all the bosses. Primarily stages 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, you're still supposed to do that because they can still grab you. Get off me. That was not fun. Messed up a lot of inputs there. I love that. Okay. Ultra combo in effect. Stage 4 goes. Better not risk it. Oh, that's the worst. Oh my god, that I don't know how I was beating that pattern. That was filthy. Casually 2% health, cool. It is what it is. Stay in crouch. Yep, that's the thing he does sometimes. That was a really bad stage. Those moth patterns were... To say I've never seen those before is probably the most accurate thing I'll say all day. Yeah, I didn't know that could happen either. Yeah, I think I really want to try for this no miss, so I'm just going to reset for my last attempt. For those who never heard the term, no miss in arcade culture means deathless. Those guys out. Rude. That is very unfortunate. Still got this, I think. Yeah, I was not fast enough. I outplayed myself there. As mentioned, any stage 1 reset is a free reset, so we always do it. There's no reason to cost yourself a life in stage 1. Especially if I'm on a no-miss quest. That worked out way better than I would have anticipated. Rude. If he hits me, it's usually whatever, but if he gets a hit and I don't get to retaliate with damage, that's like the worst feeling. Usually it happens, but, you know, it's not 100%. Up we go. Almost missed that. If I'd gotten the 4 jump I wanted, that wouldn't have been an issue. No harm, no foul, though, right? That's the worst! Fine, one more. Stage 2 boss doesn't normally throw that quickly. That was, that's pretty inconsistent for him. He went double low, too, and those are much harder to avoid than high. This game does not want me to play anymore. Clearly. It's not 3 yet. I'm giving myself time. Do 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 do. This game is just so colorful, isn't it? Look at it. I can't believe that top one didn't hit me. I should have left. Ace one first. Skin of my teeth. Jug o' water. Remember to hydrate, everybody. That's gonna be a problem. Yeah. Since it's almost 3, I'm just gonna keep playing. I missed an input there and it ended up being real bad. Like, it literally killed me to miss one single forward. I did not want to forward jump there, and somehow it paid off big time. I would have for sure bet on me getting hit there by something. That was nuts. Not today, Junior. So we're not getting a no miss, but that's okay. That'll probably be a grind in itself one day. When I first played this game, I had to recall if I'd ever seen Sylvia spelled that way. I've always seen it spelled with a Y. Curious if others share the same experience. So do it. Sound of the bell. Get out of here, please. That sucks. Got hit twice. I've not been hit by that guy once today. In this fight, I get hit twice. I didn't die, which is awesome, but still. That's how horrible that went. It feels like I missed that first jump kick pretty consistently, which I wish didn't happen, but... Anyway. Always take the first swing. Okay, gross. Gross. Grosser than day-old garbage. That was unfortunate. Yep. Two lives left. Let's see what happens. Oof. What a... some frame stoppage in the game. What you see there, like, that's actually happening in MAME. That's not the stream. Sometimes this happens in MAME. Sometimes it's best to just reset the software to get what you want out of it. Still gonna crouch. Alright, so I have to walk up and hit him no matter what. Yep. Went low. He's, I believe, just out of range to get hit by a low kick, too. I don't think it can tag him. Which is the idea. Oh, he parked right on top of my head. That was gnarly. Okay. He slowed down his flight. They're mixing me up pretty bad. Thankfully, this is still beatable. There's just a lot of things that have to go right for that to happen. Yep. That was one thing that can go wrong. Oh well. We still got 3 clears. I think each one had a death in a different stage. Maybe there was 1 repeat, but still. Good times. I'm happy with even 1 clear of that game within an hour. I didn't think I'd get a single one. Anyway. That is part 1 of our Spartan X day. Let's go ahead and cue up some music. This will be the soundtrack to Spartan X2 for the NES. Turn the volume down a bit. This game rules, by the way. Before I move, I'm also gonna go ahead and load up our next game. I'm actually gonna be playing 2 different versions of this game today. The US and Japanese versions are not one and the same in terms of gameplay. Not entirely, anyway. This game gets really loud in demo mode, so I gotta turn the volume down. Alright, so this is the arcade sequel to Spartan X. This is Vigilante, which I believe was its name in every region where it was released. Released 4 years later from Kung Fu Master, this was also developed and published by RM in Japan and Europe, and also in North America by Data East, just like its predecessor. While it's not a true sequel, it is considered what's called a spiritual successor or spiritual sequel. The gameplay is incredibly similar. You're not playing as the same character. You're not even playing in the same region, to my understanding. It also borrows a lot of influence from movies released in the West. I believe the biggest influence was the movie The Warriors, which came out in, I think that was like 79. I wasn't alive during this time period, so I don't know. I was born in 83, for those that care about that sort of thing. I don't know when the influence of movies like that came into effect throughout the 80s. I don't know if it happened right away. I don't know if it took another like 5 years or so for more movies like, you know, Lost Boys to come out and really like define the punk aesthetic and all that kind of stuff. But this one also looks a lot more like, in terms of like the enemies especially, it looks more like a beat 'em up that you would see. And let's get that out of here. Furthermore, as mentioned, it takes place here in the States, specifically in New York City. Follows a professional martial artist who is nameless. Our character does not have a name. Who becomes a vigilante to fight an evil gang called the Skinheads. That was actually censored and renamed in certain regions, I believe Europe specifically. Which is ruled by a man known as the Giant Devil, in order to protect his turf and save a female hostage named Madonna, who was kidnapped by them. Of note, Madonna was, I believe, also renamed in certain regions. One big difference in this game compared to Kung Fu, you actually have a weapon pickup in this game. There's a nunchuck you can use, and it's actually really strong. We'll get to see more of that. At the beginning of the stream, when I was discussing Kung Fu Master, I spoke a little bit about sequels to the original Kung Fu that were Kung Fu/Kung Fu Master that were shelved. This game eventually became one of them, but it was originally supposed to be called Beyond Kung Fu: Return of the Master. It did undergo location testing, so it was a thing for at least a little bit. It just never was a thing the public knew about. This happened in 1987, but unfortunately it underperformed and was then shelved. It was then revamped into what we now know as Vigilante, which you see before you, after IRM decided to give it a more Americanized setting, and then later released it in 88. I kind of understand that. I don't know where the fascination with the Western culture extends to in Japan outside of like Westerns. By that I mean like actual Westerns, you know, your cowboys, your John Wayne, etc. As far as punk culture, I could see it. I just never really thought about it. So, another game that's been ported quite a few times. Of note, there's an Amiga version, Amstrad CPC, Atari ST, Master System, Commodore 64, MSX, TurboGrafx 16, which is the only other version that I've played personally, ZX Spectrum, and of course it was later released for the Virtual Console. I believe that was also the TG16 version. The Master System version was actually not released in Japan. It was only in North America and Europe. It's also one of several games in the console to include an FM sound switch for enhanced music quality. I find that to be pretty cool. The Master System version is also where some of the censoring and renaming came into effect. As mentioned, the gang was renamed to the Rogues, and Madonna was renamed to Maria. I guess that was to avoid lawsuits. I'm not sure. A few of the versions I named, including the C64, ZX Spectrum, Atari ST, Amiga, and Amstrad CPC, were reprogrammed by Emerald Software, and also published by US Gold, mostly in Europe. Some decent irony there. The MSX version was ported and published by a Korean company called Clover. I'm actually not very familiar with their work, so. TurboGrafx 16 version was published by Irem for Japan, but later in North America by NEC. Another company I'm not super familiar with, but I wouldn't doubt that I probably played a game with two of theirs. Plots follows a similar thread. Our girlfriend's been kidnapped, we have to go save her. It's just that instead of, a group of ne'er-do-wells hanging out in their dojo, it's a gang that just roughs up different parts of town. You can see here there's a junkyard, there's the streets, there's a bridge. I think stage 4 is a factory, and then stage 5 is like the top floor of the factory. You also see those enemies there with the billy clubs. We can't use those. The only weapons we can use are nunchucks that are picked up off the ground. So here we have a look at the manual. Still love the coloring here. I believe this here is... It's a recoloring of the official poster. The actual poster, which we'll see once we get to gameplay, has a lot more refined colors, whereas this is just more monochrome, but I still like how it looks. Location of data, East USA. Let's go. Road trip. Oh, one more thing I wanted to do. Let me swap something over real quick. Anyway. Get a quick look at the manual. Mostly just technical jargon going on here. Tells the arcade proprietor how to install it, how to convert it from a different cab if need be. Important to note, make sure power supply, monitor, and coin acceptor is all functional. That is, to follow up on something I said earlier about Japanese devs, they knew what they were doing when it came to forward thinking, particularly when it comes to, what's what I'm looking for, frequency, particularly in terms of circuits. I've tried running a US board through my Supergun through an older flat screen monitor that through VGA. And you'd think it would work, but then it's like, yeah, this circuitry is completely out, whereas the Japanese board works just fine. They weren't that forward-thinking with that kind of stuff. For those looking for buyers beware, it was a Midway board. So, if any of you looking to pick up like an MK or an NBA Jam board sometime in your life, make sure you're aware of that. It'll work just fine through anything that can be taken through a Supergun-like component, but if you want VGA, may not get what you want out of it. There are converters available, but not the most consistent, let's just say. Gotta take it apart. Control panel. This is never any fun, so let's do it first, get it out of the way. I love that, like, just insistence. That's so strong. It's almost like in a way arcade devs just had each other's backs, you know? I like stuff like that. Unlike Kung Fu, there actually is, I believe, no way to get an extend in this game. You only have 3 lives. Like, there's no amount of points you can get. It's also, I believe, set up for 2 players, but it alternates. It's kind of like an old Mario Brothers title. Like, and I don't mean like arcade Mario Brothers. I mean like Super Mario Brothers 1 or 3 for the NES. Like, you just alternate gameplay. Could be a fun way to play for score. PCB layouts, component lists, or the hardware. Scroll down before we scroll back up. Back to the blue. So now, here's something I found. What is going on here? There we go. I just need to catch back up with itself. As a little treat for this one, I actually was able to locate this on a site that I'm a very big fan of and used to frequent quite often, particularly back in my 20s and early 30s, called TV Tropes. It has quite a few good ones for Vigilante. And you can take what I'm about to say about these in any context you wish. So tropes included in this game include the Big Rotten Apple. Picks the version of New York City where the... and this is a link. Police are useless, and crime has overrun the city, hence why Vigilante needs to take matter into his own hands. Again, take that into context however you like. There's an interesting one here called Bowdlerize. I believe this has to do with the editing and censorship for international versions, because to bowdlerize means to alter existing programs, plays, etc., so they're less rude and offensive. Which goes into discussion earlier about what I said about the gang being renamed the Master System version. It also changed some of the ending text. Should have known until just now. Man, this game's soundtrack is so good. Another one called Down in the Dumps, second stage set in a junkyard, which I touched on a little bit earlier. There's a dual boss fight in stage 2. You're fighting 2 of the same enemy. We'll see them in a bit. Turns out the Master System version, there's only one boss, which I've not played that version, so I wouldn't know, but that's good to know. To line up with Bowdlerizing, there's also the dub name change, which this... mentioned before, I assumed correctly that it was for copyright purposes. In that version, Madonna was renamed Maria, likely to avoid people mistaking her for you-know-who. Almost all of the enemy characters are also named differently in the manuals for both the Master System and TurboGrafx versions. That I did not know. I love this one. Every car is a Pinto. Whenever the Vigilante knocks a gang member off his motorcycle, it skids a few feet and explodes in a ball of fire. That'll happen in Stage 3. Another one, no celebrities were harmed. The artwork for the cabinet and flyer for the US version uses Madonna's likeness from the True Blue era. Nothing else to comment about there. This one I touched on a little bit earlier, the trope police are useless, which the game's intro states outright. This was discussed a little bit in Kung Fu Master. There's regenerating health. Bosses can slowly regain energy if they're not hit often enough. This matters in a couple fights. Stage 2 has that quirk. The Stage 2 boss does in particular, because they can stall for time pretty well. The real issue is the final boss, because he can essentially maintain iframes for as long as he wants. If you're trying to speedrun the game, you can generally be pretty consistent with the game up until the last boss, and he can just kill even the best of PB paces. If you've ever done a Super Smash TV run for the SNES on easy mode, he's Mutoid Man in that regard. Like, you can have your best paces just slaughtered by him, and you have no control over it except to hit the reset button. Another trope, rooftop confrontation. That's the 5th and final stage. Top of the factory. Save the princess, your girl's been taken hostage. Very common in 80s games. Pretty glad that's been mostly phased out. I think some indie games still touch on it just because of nostalgia. I don't necessarily like it, but... you know, only so much you can do about history. Here's a lengthy one. Shout out. The final level features a billboard advertising one of arcade adaptations of Lone Runner. Very difficult game for those that are familiar with it or not familiar with it, though not directly mentioned by name. The TurboGrafx version features billboards instead of Mr. Helly and R-Type, both great IRM games, and the Master System doesn't feature any of them. There's also a cinema present at the end of Stage 1 on the Amiga and Atari ST ports, playing Creature from the Black Lagoon. Though the sign itself is still missing some letters, and I think this is very clever. It's shown as Sieur M. Hay Lac Agoon. To avoid copyright problems, I suppose. I think that's incredibly funny and great. Time mission, each stage has a time limit. Sooner you clear one, the bigger the bonus. So if you're score attacking, you're definitely incentivized to speedrun. Unwilling suspension. Madonna is being suspended from her pulley in the final stage. We'll see that soon enough. And finally, your princess is in another castle of S&B fame. At the end of the first 3 stages, you can definitely see the van holding Madonna that has her hostage. But as soon as the boss is defeated, they just take off. Anyway, of all the Spartan X games, this one is by far my favorite. I've put quite a bit of time into this game. I think I even had the... I think I even had the 80% world record at one point. I either was just shy of 730 or I was like right over it. I can't remember. So I was like a 732 or 728. It was thereabouts. It's an annoying game to grind only because of the final boss. Everything else until him is reasonable. Anyway. And yes, agreed. It's nice. Anyway, let's move over to... It's a good stopping point. Turn the volume back up. This game will get kind of loud at points. They wanted those hit sound effects to be chunky in this game. You can tell by those kicks. What's that from the other side of the arcade? Why, it's Vigilante! Ta-da! Should turn that down just a smidge. It's a little loud in the ear. Let me know if you all are having some issues hearing it. So right now I have the Japanese version loaded up. Japanese version is slightly easier, and I'll show a reason why. We'll do a quick narration. The rogues have taken Marie hostage. We'll just smash this version a bit. Take the law into your own hands. As mentioned before by Who Is Useless. Yeah, which doesn't get used that often. It looks cool as hell, but it's impractical and not amazing. So in this game, unlike Kung Fu Master, I'm not so big on punches. You can see attacks come out quite a bit slower. Until you get nunchucks. Nunchuck hits are ridiculous. They're super fast. You can crouch cancel out of them to keep your momentum going and movement. Great music too. I love the music in this game. This guy's gonna shoot a gun. Gonna deflect the bullet with our trusty nunchucks. And our first boss is a quick kill. There's this rusty, gross van holding Madonna. So two things to note about the Japanese version. One, non-T wearing enemies have more health. Take 6 hits to take them down rather than 6. Or 4. Van is carrying Marie to their turf, the junkyard. This stage is pretty easy. Of note, we also get to carry weapons over from stage to stage. You see an enemy in a sleeveless tee, you get him out of the way. Anybody else, these guys with billy clubs, they're not an issue. I always make sure to tag the guy up top, because there's always a risk of being able to get hit by them. But these guys won't approach us unless we approach them. They're pacifists. In other words, they're cowards. This guy is not a coward. We have to take him out. And here we are at our boss. So these are the Mad Brothers. These guys stall for time quite a bit. What we do is we have to crouch, hit him out of the air, do 2 kicks. Those kicks actually require some pretty strict timing. It's a pretty easy fight as long as you follow these steps, but the timer's your enemy. If you get double hits, you get double damage, which is great. We'll double jumped again. 2 double jumps a fight is consistent. 3 is rare, but can happen. So that's 2. 1 is also rare, and that one's the worst by far. Crouching for effect. Take them out. And the van gets away again. That van is just so decrepit looking. Oh, the other thing in the Japanese version, your health refills at the end of every stage. The van is heading for the bridge. Her time is running out. Oh no. So motorcycles are a thing here. I actually didn't want to do that, but that's okay. If a motorcycle comes from the right, for the sake of speed, you can actually just take the hit. Not so much if they're coming from the left, because if you take the hit, they'll just turn around and try to hit you again. Want to make sure I maintain the nunchuck for stage 4. See, in the US version, that would have taken 6 hits. Anyway, here's our boss. Dodge the spiked ball. Then we're going to walk up and just kick him a bunch of times. Sometimes he blocks. Sometimes we get the hit. It's random. But we're just going to go for throat kick all the time. He can get out of this if we have bad timing, like we did there. But we have a backup strat for this. Go low. Jump, do it again. Loop it. Maintaining, if you want to make sure he stays next to the van, timing is crucial. I was just a little bit off time there. Like, you can't mash it if you want to get that. Thankfully the backup strat works, it's just not as fast. Good night. And they're off. Feel free to ignore what's going on in the background if it's something that means something to you. You still have not rescued her, thanks for the warning. The rogues are heading downtown. So stage 4 actually is really hard, and it gets even harder if we don't have nunchucks, which we don't. But it's kind of weird in that I actually prefer to end the stage with nunchucks, or without nunchucks, than with them. By that, what I mean is, I prefer to have nunchucks up until the boss, and then I'd rather take a hit to lose them. Yeah, go away. Go up with the crouch cancels. Yeah, I didn't want to get hit by that. Yeah, I'm not going to get those nunchucks. I don't want them. You don't want them for the boss to do less damage. So here you have this King Hippo looking dude. 7 punches later, he comes down, and we go to the backup strat from last stage. Reason you don't want nunchucks? Nunchucks takes twice as many hits on that guy as punch does. You have to hit him 14 times with a nunchuck than you do with punch. And nunchuck also doesn't improve anything in the last stage, so it's a good time to lose it. God, the music in this game is so good. This is when Irem soundtracks were just ripping hard. So we have this cool little glitch we're gonna do. We're gonna go all the way to the elevator. We're gonna jump. I don't know if that got it or not. There we go. So the game thinks that we're trying to board the elevator, and it's gonna do that for us, but it's a little bit off axis. So in this case, the Vigilante just got summoned back to his home planet. And we're on to our last stage. Now they're on your turf. It's your last chance to save Marie. This is probably my favorite music track in the game, too. Also, Jazz Performance Act at Bottom Line is quite the meme. We don't want those nunchucks. I'm gonna ignore this guy. Gonna jump down. Okay, so a gun guy shows up. That's normal. Thankfully didn't show up earlier. Jump to avoid the bullet. And here's our boss. This is the Giant Devil, who I guess is supposed to be an Andre the Giant knockoff. Not uncommon in beat-em-ups from this era. Alright, he's being kind of awful. Yeah, that happens sometimes. Sometimes he's just a little bit too aggressive. There's not much you can do. So here's how the strat's supposed to go. Bait out the kick. Go in and try to get your hit. If you don't get the hit, that means he's being invincible and he's being a jerk. You just have to try to do it again. It's unfortunately a case where he has full control over what happens. You have no say over how often you can hit him. Like there I got, what was that, 6 hits? 6 hits is, I'd say, about average. I've gotten as many as 20 plus hits in a row. I've gotten as few as 0 to 1 hits in a row. He decides all of it. You have no say. You just have to keep going for it. He also keeps saying, hey, come on, and that's your cue. It means he's coming forward, you go in and bait it. See, that was a lot of hits. Because he decided to be nice, I guess. Also, don't look too long at his pants. Might fall into a dream state. Alright, so that's gonna end our game. We're gonna go over here, hit the lever. Do a bunch of kicks. Because we didn't get our workout in yet today. And oh no, Marie's gone. Came all this way and she's missing. Only one thing left to do. We're gonna... Oh wait, there she is. Another little glitch that messes with the syncing of the placement. Big fan. Way to go, Jude! Law and order failed, but the Vigilante prevails. I believe that was actually changed in the Master System. Yeah, it says you prevailed and the rogues bit the dust. I guess they like their blue. Thank you for the GGs. I also firmly believe the high score is impossible to get. This game only has one loop. So that's the Japanese version. Let's go ahead and move on to the US version. This version's a fair bit more difficult. Some reasons I mentioned during during the beginning of the last run. Certain enemies that took only 4 hits to take down take 6 in this version, so they're a bit tougher. Particularly with nunchucks. And also, you don't refill health at the beginning of another stage. So, like, if you take a hit in stage 1, it carries over to stage 2. Which I believe that was a new thing to Spartan X in general. Oh well, it's harder. We can still do it. I've done it before. Let's see what we got. I'm not going to intentionally take a hit to prove it. I do of course want to make sure this is the correct version and everything, but that said, the best way to find out is going to be finding out how many hits they take, which can happen in stage 1. Yep, there's 6. We're in the right place. Oh yeah, you can turn the hitbox of Nunchuck while it's active. It's really busted. Don't love that. Game does that sometimes. Block a bullet. I'm actually gonna reset. And the many times I've played this game, I've never seen the guy on the left come after that, but I hit him. Like, you're supposed to hit him to get him to go away, but that's not US version specific. That's just something I've never seen before. I guess I was supposed to do a standing hit. I learned something today. The narration and language used between both versions is exactly the same. Nothing changes there. They westernized the heck out of this game. Sea cream. Also, I'm a big. Leave me alone. Remember, damage is costly. It will carry over. Why did that not occur? That's weird. So if I timed that right, I could hit both of them. Okay, it had to do with placement, not number of times hit. I get it. So we took a little bit of damage. Not the best, not the worst. Yeah, see, it doesn't actually drain our health to add to our score. It just carries the health over. Just makes it more difficult by default. Still, health is pretty maintainable in most stages in this game. Stage 4 and arguably Stage 3 are the outliers. It's nothing too bad. That's annoying. Sometimes their placement, as you can see here, they land right on top of you, can prevent your movement, and that's not fun. But it's not a 0% chance, as you can see. Not much control I have over that either. Autograph hounds, go away. Didn't get the second hit, unfortunate. Do like the initial double jump, though. That's good. Boo. Timing's kind of tight on those kicks. Takes a rhythm. Other than that, it's the same as the fight from the other version. I would not mind a second double jump, though. Boo. Trolls. Very RNG heavy fight, as you can tell. It's really easy regardless of what you're doing. It's just, if you're trying to play for speed, RNG matters. Enemy behavior, not consistent. Oof, only one double jump, no bueno. Alright, you can jump now. Bleh. Stage 2 win as expected. I wasn't really happy by some of the enemy behavior early on in the stage, but I didn't suffer for it. It was just obnoxious. That explosion does have a hitbox. But the bounce back actually puts you in an advantageous position to not get hit by it, which is wonderful. 3 left motorcycles is pretty bad luck in terms of speed, but being that I already took damage and we're playing the harder version, I would have wanted to get hit by that anyway. I think they take half your health. Alright, let's see if I can get full throat kick combo here.
Hey, come on.
I believe this guy's a palette swap of the stage 4 boss, except he has a mohawk and a different color scheme on his pants. So they have different movesets, kind of. One has a spiked ball, one has dynamite. Totally different movesets. Full combo that time, even though he blocked. He didn't move, that's what's important. Okay, so unlike the previous run, in this instance, we actually have nunchuck to stage 4. See if that works out for us. Rogues are heading downtown, oh no! Walk it out. Oof, that sprite flicker. I love that. Didn't want to take that much damage, but at least I don't have nunchucks anymore. That's a good thing. Go away.
Hey, come on.
7 of these later, down he goes. Them boots. See if we can get a glitch again. Back to our home planet and all that jazz. Oh god. These guys are supposed to be here? No! I promise that's never happened before. That was really funny. Usually if you go far enough right, those guys will despawn, but I guess this time they weren't having it. Still, we got the glitch sort of. It just respawned us in a place that doesn't look right. But that was a bit ridiculous. I wasn't anticipating a no miss, because no miss on the US version is really hard, but that was still pretty rude. Alright, nothing different here. We're just down a life. Ooh, early gun guy. That's unlucky. Want that. Think that means the gun guy won't be here though? Yeah, we're good. Kill you just because you might reach me.
Hey, come on.
Rude. Still a chance I might be able to hit him. Not so much. Alright, 1 life to the finish.
Hey, come on.
There's still a chance that even following the pattern, I still can't lose this. There's always a random chance that I can go back in and he can choose to just invincible kick me right away. Like right there. That is a perfect example. Thank you for being textbook.
Hey, come on.
Could have done it there too. But I had to keep following the pattern. I went back in too early there. That's on me. Boo.
Hey, come on.
Boo. There's that load runner banner. Billboard. B word I was looking for. Come on, homie.
Hey, come on. Hey,
Yep, there he did it again. Ooh, he chained him that time. What a jerk. Oh, that's a clear. Yeah, it was mad at me for trying to glitch the game, right? Okay, that's pretty great. Oh, man. That's hilarious. Anyway, our princess is over here by this garter, so we found her. Oh, man. There's a... That was an excellent we'll do it live example of a game getting mad at you for just trying to do glitches. That was so funny. Oh, wow. Oh, it's gonna be a while before I'm laughing at that. That was great. I think that's the same ranking I had on the other version. Pretty hilarious. Anyway, I still at least wanted to show off the harder version. When we first tried, cleared it, so that's cool. For the last attempt, we're going to move over to the world version, which I believe falls a bit more in line with the JP version, so it's a bit easier. So funny. Lord, that was funny. Optimized for score attack? It's hard to say. Fast as possible, for sure. Because counting down the timer does add points. I don't recall what attacks, if any, get more points. I know in Kung Fu Masters, mentioned before, punches are worth more than kicks. I would wager it's the same here. I believe nunchuck attacks are worth the least points. So that's kind of annoying because nunchucks are optimal for speed against certain enemies, particularly the enemies that die in one hit, like those idiots there. Just down a little bit. I actually don't recall if anyone's ever journaled that or not. And the internet has been not helpful. One thing I will touch on, the only other version of this game that I've played, as I mentioned, is the TurboGrafx version. I played it for the first time back in 2022. And I can promise, hand to the sky, I really, really wanted to like it. Like, I really, really did. 95% of the strats that work in the arcade version also work in the TurboGrafx version, and that includes the stage 1 boss kill. Like, it was carried over, and that's not common for home ports. I was enthralled. I was like, that's really, really cool. Like, this is actually a home version that plays just the same, and I'm all in for this. But unfortunately, the final boss is significantly harder, because the strat that you do where you try to turn away from his kick and then go back in doesn't work, because his kick has a larger hitbox. So when you bait out the kick and try to retreat, you're just getting hit. In fact, I watched the last stage of the world record of the TurboGrafx version of the game, and it is a 1cc, but it had 2 deaths in the last stage. Because you had to take hits from him to be able to get in. And I was like, oh, cool. That means there's no real optimal strat for him. That broke my heart, I'm not gonna lie. Because I really wanted to like it, because I think the TurboGrafx is not only a great console, but has a lot of great arcade ports, but that one just fell short of the mark because of one thing. Because of one screw-the-player thing they did. Which isn't common for home ports, you know? That's normally a thing for, like, arcades. But I guess they had different ideas. Anyway, let's pop it in. She has a red bow on her back. I do love the poster artwork for this game. I think it looks so great. Love the colors and everything. My buttons are inverted between the two versions. That's interesting. I just now noticed that. Oh, nope. This is the US version. It's world, so that could mean anything. Hello, Lyra. Take that. So I believe how that quick kill works is if you hit him with the nunchuck, it puts him in a state of hit stun, where you can just hit him again. So it's a guaranteed combo. So doing it while he's on the ground, because nunchuck cancels so fast in other moves, means you can just go into low kicks, and while he's in a combo state, he just takes damage on every frame. You just get to melt his life bar just by kicking him in the nuts a bunch of times. It's quite satisfying. Don't love that. That means I won't have nunchucks for stage 3. It was random too. Oh wait, there's nunchucks. I missed them. No. Oh well, we're still going. There we go. It's unfortunate about the damage though. Chillin'. Missing the second kick is never fun. They also can't attack you out of rhythm. Like, if one's airborne, the other one, like airborne up high, the other one can't come after you. They have to do it in sync. They're on a timer. That would be quite degenerate if they could do that, so I'm glad they can't. It might make things a little bit faster if you're good at dodging, but obviously no guarantees. Sometimes you gotta wait that out. There we go. Moving on, moving on. Got our nunchucks back, that's a good thing. So if an enemy comes from the right, you can take the hit and just keep moving. Because as long as you're walking, you'll be able to scroll so far that the motorcycle enemy that comes from the right just completely despawns from the stage. So in a speedrun, it's actually correct to do that. But in the US or world version, it's incredibly dangerous to do so. Because motorcycles do a lot of damage. And you're not guaranteed to start stage 3 with full health. And said health loss will carry over to other stages. Throat kicker combo. It's a thing. Sweet, 4 in a row. I still don't think there's a better strat for that guy. You can get more consistent hits if you let him out and do the low kick strat, but I want to say you get better DPS doing that, but also can't confirm. Being here with nunchucks always feels good. Nope. Might get some sprite flicker here. Flooding the screen with enemies at this point. So this is the kind of stuff you just get brained for in actual Kung Fu Master. But nunchucks are really good. Therefore, you don't have that problem as much. Okay, I wanted that to happen so I could lose the nunchucks. We're good. Dynamite's not much of a threat. If it gets anywhere close to you, you can just low kick to get rid of it. Sweep the leg, Johnny. I also feel like this strat shouldn't be as consistent. You could do a variation of the throat kicker strat on this guy, but since you can't back him against a wall, it's not recommended. Can get a proper glitch this time. There we go. Oh, way different game there. Apples and oranges, my friend. Dynamite also a threat in TMNT. You can also turn the hitbox of low kick, which I'm trying to do here. Looks like it's having a great effect too. Like I'm not pressing kick a second time, it's just throwing it once and do a quick 180. Boop. I was worried about the bullet coming down and doing things I didn't like. Yeah, he does that sometimes. That's the biggest robber of a no miss.
Hey, come on.
Is him just deciding he doesn't want you on the ledge. Let's play it out.
Hey, come on.
So that's probably the closest I've ever gotten a no miss on the US version. Wow. Jeez, a 2-cycle fight? I can't say that's ever happened before. I'm gonna have to go back and retime this run. In fact, I'm not glitching, I'm just letting her come down. Now I'm regretting doing the glitch, but man, a 2-cycle fight is gnarly. That's good stuff. That doesn't happen ever. Felt like more than that, but I'll take it. That's certainly the fastest run I've had today, even if it's not a PB. Good times had by all. Let's go and jam our initials in. I'm curious what actual PB time is. I haven't checked it in a while. Definitely have no issue ending on that kind of high note. That was strong. So I did have a 728, but I got beat out a couple years back by 719, which is a very respectable run for sure. It's from a runner from Chile named Caesar D. Anyway, that was the last run I got in, and a very good time on the run, that's for sure. I'll be sure to go back and retime it when I have a chance. Anyway, thank y'all so much for hanging out. We're gonna go call it an afternoon before my internet comes back in a roaring. For those that don't know, I've been unfortunately having some internet difficulties on my home connection that are unfortunately no fault of my own. I've done all the things I was supposed to do, and the issue is very much going to require outside maintenance, and that's just the kind of thing you have to wait out. Let's see. All right, think we've got a good host target. We'll post it here in a second. Yeah, let's go ahead and host. Go say hi to Toad, doing some Fallout 2. We can do raids, right? Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Actually, take that back. 2 weeks from this weekend will be RGL's annual Shmup-Timber. I will also be out of town that weekend, so I will not only not be participating in Shmup-Timber, but Kentucky Fried Corn Ops will also be postponed by a couple weeks. Come back for October, though. We'll be doing spoopy games. Next show will be on October the 13th. See you then, and take care.